What if your sensitivities and some of your insecurities actually are the key to your true power and being in alignment with your own spirit and your soul's purpose? That's what we're going to discuss today with our special guest, Tania Ho. Tania, welcome to the Inner Estate.
Thank you so much, Bridget, for having me here.
So, Tania, you have spent your career building, founding, and running the Muse Flower Spiritual Retreat and working with people on this very subject. So, what do you do to help people? It's almost like you're helping people connect with their own inner self. So
Yes.
tell me more about the work that you do and how you do it.
Yes. So thank you for that question. So I love really sharing with people how they can connect with their intuition, because I believe that your intuition is your soul's communicating with you, and your soul knows why you're here and has all, like the information and resources, the wisdom that is within. And so I love to connect people with their own intuition, because our intuition connects or communicates with us in different ways. And part of what you said also with the sensitivities, I see that sensitivities really is just everybody's sensitive anyway, but some people are more sensitive than, certain people. And when we grow up, nobody tell us about, like energy or sensitivities. And to me, it's really just how we are built, like energetically. And so when people learn like that, oh, like that's just how, I'm built, like just like my hair color, just like my bone structure, there's actually nothing wrong with me. They really find a sense of relief. And then they see that, and then I point out, actually, that can be a gift for you. And that's why you're here, in this earth, you have this mission here, your purpose here, because you're supposed to use all these gifts to help you to carry out your soul mission or your purpose here. And so, it's really having this reframe, you can say perspective, is seeing when some people think something's wrong with me, to something, oh, actually, it is my gift. It's something that I need to learn to master it, and I can use it to do something meaningful with it.
When you think about the meaningful work someone could do, could you give us an example? Because I know a lot of times you and I, we probably have conversations around this, and people may hear us and they say, well, what do you actually mean? So could you give us a practical example of someone that discovered and reframed something they were insecure about and they turned it into a strength? Then how do they actually use that?
So I'm actually used to use my own example, if that's okay.
Okay, that would be great.
Because that's really where it comes from. So I think, for people who haven't heard of the term empath before, or I'm sure you have, but people who are highly sensitive empath means they feel more than, other people, the general typical people. And usually people who feel more, because they feel a lot more around them, they want people around them to be happy. Like, so they can feel good themselves. And so that's me also, like I want people around me to feel good. And so, what I've learned is, of course, like the people pleasing behavior at the beginning, like, try to like be really nice, try to be like, helping people. But at the same time, sometimes I would sacrifice myself for that. And so when I learned that actually it is, when I learned that, okay, this is actually a quality of being an empath, and when I really embrace that for myself, it was like really like taking this pressure off. It's like, oh, okay, because this is also my gift. Like that's how I can sense, when people come in, and I can sense like what they're feeling already. And it's really how, I can pick up, what are they saying in between the lines as well? Because sometimes people say something, but what I can hear is, okay, even though you say this, but what I can hear is like, what's kind of something that's underneath. And I find that that's for myself, like my gift when I, have conversations with people. And so it's like that, it's like a double-edged sword where when we're sensitive, we can feel a lot. And that's where we can use this to help people. In my case is to understand, okay, maybe I hear what they say, but I feel there's something more, right? There's something more to what they're saying that maybe they're not, seeing or noticing or being aware themselves.
It's the unspoken, right? So there's the words coming out of their mouth, yet there's more that they're either not saying or that is not coming out in the words. And you can sense that. Right. So are you able to then have interactions with them where they can reach a point where that unspoken part can come out, or the message between the lines? Are you able to get it to where they're able to have that come out?
Yes, because Well, when we have the conversation, usually it's in like when they're doing sessions with me and I do oracle card readings. And usually how it comes out is I will ask them more questions. So instead of me telling them, sometimes I would also, to just give like a perspective, but usually I find that by asking more questions, people will start to get it. Like they have this, they can dig deeper into themselves through answering reflective questions.
When you were talking about the people-pleasing aspect of this dynamic that a lot of people find themselves in, it can be very depleting. Or as you said, you can lose yourself or you can start to sacrifice. So it can get into dangerous territory. Have you found a place, I'm assuming you have, where you're protecting yourself while also helping others? How do you care for yourself to make sure that you don't still fall into the mode where it's draining you?
Yeah, very good question. I think that's all. And that's all like so many self-care practices, right? I really help us with that. And for me, I think to me, really start with awareness. I mean, of course, there's like so many practices I can share, but I think it really start with awareness of when we are doing something. What is the intention behind that? Is it because I'm afraid that, people will judge me? I'm afraid that, I'm going to make them feel sad and I'm going to feel bad. So that's where it really drains, because we can do so many practices, but if we would not, aware of where the intention really comes from, like from this behavior, right? Really to kind of dig down. Or am I really helping this person because it gives me joy as well, lifts me up? So it's like you said, finding that balance. And sometimes, of course, we're off balance, and that's how we can find a balance, because then we're like over one side and we're like, okay, let me, go back to like kind of find a balance at where it works for me.
I wonder often if there's also a fear of rejection or not having what you do be enough. So when you find yourself in that situation, you almost feel obligated, like, well, I have to keep doing what I was doing and let me do more because it doesn't seem like it's enough and I want them to be happy. And then you feel as if like you can get stuck on a treadmill, like a hamster wheel, of just trying to do that. And it can really build up where then for me, it's almost reached a point where, wait, I've invested this much. Let me do one more thing and see if that's enough, and you can really get lost in it. I don't know if I'm describing it right.
Yes.
And the exhaustion, if you do fall off the hamster wheel, it's not comfortable.
Yes.
So at Muse Flower, are you helping people that may fall off that hamster wheel?
Yes. So we have all, really sorts of people coming in, because we are a retreat center, kind of like having, people can come for yoga, meditation, but they also just come for like the spa, the relaxation. And so, sometimes people are coming here just to recharge, to relax. And we do have people who are more in like a transition in their life, or they feel kind of burnt out from work, and then they come here, or they're going through like changes. Maybe we have people starting from, to graduate from university and, like kind of finding their path, to people who retire, having this entire new chapter in their life and finding a new direction in that as well. And also people who are processing grief, in different stages of their life. So we have like really different type of people. And so really depending on their intention, again, depends how deep they want to go. Sometimes some people, they just want to relax. They want just to be in nature, which is perfect. And then some people, they do want to go deeper because they did feel, like you said, that kind of burnout. That for me also, it's almost a sense of, we are looking for, because, I say that because I know that for myself also, when people pleasing is also finding something that's outside of us to validate us, finding happiness, finding love that is outside of us. And so we have, when we do sessions with me, for example, or, some workshops we do also, is really all coming back to yourself, to learning that actually I have to fill that hole for myself. I have to love myself. I have to praise myself and really talk positively to myself to build self-love, because it's easy to say, I love myself. But when it comes to action, what are we doing? Like you talk about the self-care. So what are we doing to show that we really love ourselves? How can we take care of ourselves?
How important is the physical component? So in that, you mentioned that there's yoga and there's some physical practices. How important is that to connecting with your own inner self.
Yeah. So that is also very important. And I think in our center, we're not like a very heavily fitness focused place. So we have the more gentle type of physical exercise like yoga or qigong or stretching. And it's a way for people to connect with their bodies just because we're so much in our headspace, including myself. Sometimes we're working. And so we become so disconnected with the body. Also for people, sometimes they come here, they just like, I feel like so tired. I want to sleep all the time. I want to nap all the time. I'm like, that's great. You're just doing what your body needs because you know
what your body needs. Yeah.
Yes. So it's just sometimes, I mean, that's perfect. Either you come here and you're like, oh my God, I'm sleeping a lot, or just like, okay, I'm moving my body because, to be honest, a lot of us, we sit on a desk working on computers or we're looking at a phone all the time, right? So we're really kind of create a stiffness and disconnect with the body, with the mind as well. And so it is really important to have that connection again, to build the connection again.
I mean, it is wild in the US. Our country has become very sedentary, and it is just, it's a real issue. And it's funny, disconnection from movement and sitting most of the day, which is not what our body's designed to do. I'm not an expert in that, but I'm glad that you do have options at Muse Flower where you can at least move. As you said, I'm not talking like, boot camp, you're going to, drop and do 20 push-ups, not that, but you're just allowing your body to move. And I'm assuming that it's in a peaceful conjunction with your thoughts, your mind, and the energy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, we don't have a very that heavy boot camp thing.
Right. Yeah.
So
thank goodness.
I mean, some places have, and that's great too. I think it's just we're different. We work with different areas.
Right.
To me, the focus of our center, like all the practice is really focused on nourishing the body, mind, and soul. And so when I say nourishing, everything is invitational. For example, you don't have to push yourself. You can do as much as you want here, or you can do as little as you want here. So that's why I say it's like a retreat holiday. There is a program, but it's not very strict that you have to follow it. There's still some flexibility in it. So it's just really taking this time to care for yourself and to really nourish yourself with the food, with the physical exercise, with of course the other workshops. So, we talk more about the emotion or the mental part. Or the energetic part of the body, really.
And I also, when I was looking at and investigating Muse Flower Retreat, that you also have a vegetarian-based food offerings.
Yes.
Could you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I have to say this as disclaimer because I'm not a vegetarian myself, right? So it's not promoting, vegetarianism, but when I first attended a retreat myself, in Thailand, it was a vegetarian retreat. And to me, it was so eye-opening because I always had this misconception of vegetarian food as, boring. It's not yummy. You're going to get hungry so fast. And it just completely changed the way, when I attended that retreat as a student, really changed my mind of oh my God, vegetarian food can be so creative. It could be so yummy. It could be so filling. And I really want to have this experience for our guests here because, when you step into the retreat, it's really about breaking away from your daily habits. So you're not on this autopilot. So we don't serve coffee here, for example, but you can bring your instant coffee if you want, right? So it's fine. It's not so strict, but we don't serve coffee. So we don't have these daily things people are so used to. And it's a gentle way of breaking away that habit because then you see, well, actually, I can, people, they are very surprised with actually, I don't have to drink coffee or I don't have to eat meat and I still feel very good with myself.
Mm-hmm. I think that is, so it's not so much, you don't have dogs sniffing the suitcases for any contraband of coffee as you come in. However, you can come to the retreat and you can just challenge yourself to be open to something different and just do it almost like an experiment and see how you feel.
Yes. And I feel when we are exposed to new experiences, your brain, forms newer pathways, right? And it helps to change the way we see things. It kind of expands the horizon as well. And that's part of the retreat experience too, is to be able to, like we talk about, to see things in a new light.
Well, kind of jumping back for a minute to what you were mentioning, how different people come for different reasons. And not everyone who comes to Muse Flower is depleted. Some of them, like you said, just want a beautiful retreat in a great place and a nice time, maybe even with friends or by themselves. So like, I get it that that's the case. And then you also have people that may be coming, as you said, in that time of transition or a time of questioning where are they going with their life and why do they matter? Who do they matter to? The big questions.
Yes.
So if they come to a retreat, because you have specific retreats, I believe you have one coming up in December.
Yes.
Is that where there's more intentionality around, right, I'm coming to this retreat, and when I come there, and I don't mean goal oriented, like going to a sales convention, I'm going to meet 20 people. No, I don't mean like that. But do people come to you and they just have an intentionality around, I want some time to connect with my soul, like at this retreat, and that's what I'm going to do? Is there that structure where you kind of feel like, okay, now I'm casting off the rest of the world, and now I'm going to allow myself to explore who am I, what am I, and what am I doing here?
Yes, definitely. Actually, for every guest who come here, we have this online form, pre-check-in form, and we do ask everybody, what is your intention for coming here? Okay. So it's really already a question that's seated in their mind. But of course, when they come into thank you for mentioning the retreat in December, it has a specific theme. So that theme is called Sacred Rest with Nature, and it's about experiencing the 7 types of rest. And so when people come here, so the intention is really, they're exhausted. They want to experience a 7 type of rest. And it's like you said, it's through this angle, the resting, that's the angle they're coming in, the rest, and to reconnect with themselves. And to me, it's like there's just many different pathways, you can say, when you come into Muse Flower or any retreat center, either it's through yoga or you want to come through spa, or it's through this soulful retreat with like this theme of the 7 types of rest that you are, coming to reconnect with yourself. And what I find, but of course, when you come to a retreat that has a theme, everybody coming in there has a very similar intention. And so it does make that whole container more powerful because everybody's coming with very similar, you can say like challenges or issues in their life. And so when they're in that container meeting like-minded people, it also will inspire each other as well, including me, as a facilitator too. It inspires me too.
Right. The 7 types of rest. That is highly intriguing.
Yes. Have you heard about it before? It's from a book, actually. Okay. So, yeah. So it's a book called Sacred Rest, and I can send you the link after, by Sandra Dalton-Smith. And the 7 types of rest are this. So it's physical rest, emotional rest, mental rest, social rest, creative rest, sensory rest, and spiritual rest. Her book, she talks about the 7 types of rest and why it's important to note that rest is not just, when people think rest is just like sleeping. So if I sleep 8 hours a day, I will get really energized. But why is that not happening for a lot of people? They can sleep 8 hours. They can still wake up feeling exhausted,
tired, and groggy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so she talked about it's not just physical rest. And in fact, actually, in her book, when she referred to physical rest, is not sleeping. It is actually, we talk about like kind of this gentle movement for the body because the body does need that. It's not like just lying down doing nothing. And so the sleep is only one part of the physical rest. And then, of course, emotional mental rest, for example, we are carrying a lot of emotions or carrying a lot of stress, in our mind. That's also not restful. And that's why we feel like drained and depleted, like you mentioned before.
Right.
And other things. So it could be like a sensory overload for some people, and some, especially, when there's so many information, we get very stimulated all the time, visually, especially nowadays. And so just kind of having that sensory rest, for example, be in nature. It's you still get, your senses are still stimulated, but they're not overstimulated. So you actually kind of feel more restful being in nature.
I absolutely love reconnecting in nature, grounding. I love going off grid. I make sure that I go off grid for extended, at least 5 days a year. And I tell all my clients, I'm like, okay, I forewarn them for like a few weeks ahead. I'm like, all right, I am going to be off grid. And when I say off grid, I mean it, 5 days in May. And if anyone has not given themselves that gift, please do. Even if it's one day with no electronics and no phone and no anything, even if it's music, I will go analog and listen to a vinyl on my Victrola, right? So it is, I love that. I love that thought. And I'm going to learn more about that, the 7 types of rest.
Thank you for sharing that too. I love that you do the digital detox. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I just love it. Well, especially with coaching. I coach people all over the United States. So I live in Zoom. I conduct my consultations primarily in Zoom. The rest are over the phone. And so I'm in Zoom all day. And then I love YouTube. And I've got more than one YouTube channel. So there. Doing the podcast, I'm here with you. And I love it because I'm still connecting with people all over the world. You and I would not be seeing each other's faces and talking right now. And I feel like you and I are sharing a cup of coffee in the same room, right? So I love all of that. But I'm exposed to so much of it that if I did not go off grid, I think it would cause the exhaustion that you're talking about. And it's funny because you probably could see it in my face. I was connecting with my own self as you were discussing those types of rest. And I was registering like, I need to find out about this because even for my own self, I think I need some more of those specific types of rest. And I hope that everyone listening is identifying that within their own selves and seeing where else could they incorporate that in.
Yes. In fact, actually on her website, if you just Google it, she has a quiz that you can do and you can find out, what type of rest you need more. So when I did mine also, I was like a little bit shocked by the result because for me, it was like emotional rest. I was like, oh, that's exactly things I love teaching about. You know how people say, you teach the things that you need the most. So there you go. I'm like, okay.
Well, so that retreat, that's in December. Could you tell us just a little bit more about that in case anyone is interested in attending?
Yeah, thank you so much. So it is from December 11 to 17. And the reason why we want to do it at the end of the year, really, it's really kind of like this wrap up for like 2026. To have that time because usually comes around like Christmas and New Year and people are all very busy with like the holidays. And so it's just really before the holidays having this time to, just kind of take inventory in terms of not so much about goal setting, but it's really just reflecting on, on the current year and, through these 7 type of rest. And what we have is these different invitations that we have for rest, for example. I'm co-facilitating this retreat with my friend Yumin, and she is a forest bathing trainer and therapist. So she'll be guiding, for example, forest bathing walks. She's also, she'll be guiding, facilitating yoga nidra also. And me, I work with, for example, cacao medicine. So we'll have this circle, we'll do, we'll drink cacao and we'll practice forgiveness, for example. So there's, each of these modality or invitation addressed to, certain type of rest or, multiple rest. And so we do like the creative rest part as well and the spiritual rest as well. We do meditation, shamanic journeys, connect with your, spirit guide, spirit animal too. So there's like different facets of these rests. And the main intention really from that retreat is that, is really to cut out all this noise, outer noise, right? There's so much noise on the outside and being able to return to yourself to be able to listen to what we call your soul whisper. And from that place to set an intention for the new year. So you're really coming into the new year with a renewed sense of clarity. Like you're not carrying all this junk from the past year. You can celebrate that. And then also at the same time, just having this renewed sense of energy, like coming into the new year. And it's not the same as setting, like New Year resolution.
That's right.
It's really getting in touch with your heart and soul. Yeah. And to say, what is my intention for this new year now?
Well, the other thing that I'm assuming is that you will leave there and you'll have some skills in how to achieve rest in those different 7 areas. So moving into 2027, you will be able to manage your needs in those different 7 areas from the skills that you learned at the retreat.
Yes. So everything we share also is
techniques.
Like a tool.
I may not be calling it, the tool.
Yeah. I see that it's like tools that you put in your like toolbox. And
that's right.
For some people, they have a lot of tools. For some people, they're just starting to gather tools. And so when you encounter different things in your life, you have all these different tools that you can use to help you. That's right.
So I want to go back to, Tania being the founder and the owner of this retreat and spa. How do you keep your passion going? How do you fuel yourself? How do you lead yourself in your work as a founder?
Thank you for that question. So I am constantly working on myself as well. And I mean, I think any business owners or entrepreneurs would know, different challenges that you will encounter in a business. And so challenge is going to be there, just like any life challenges, how you overcome these challenges or how you see or face them. How do you reframe different things? And through these challenges, a lot of times, I can see, this is where I still have this whole old story that I carry, or I have this limiting belief, or I have this emotion. So, running a business in a way is a reflection, is a mirror for myself as well to work on myself,
right.
Also with the people. And what really keeps me going is just seeing the guests coming here and their transformation. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be like big, like transformation. You can just see them from their face. They're just more relaxed, like, when they leave here. And just, the wonderful feedback, of course, they leave for us, how much they have enjoyed the experience. And so that's what really keeps going, because you can see the positive feedback from the guests as well. And I just love for a retreat experience, it's not just a one-time experience people come and forget. Usually with any retreat experience, it's really a seed that's planted. And then when they go home, it's like after 1 year, after that seed continues to grow. It's not just something that stops there.
You just said what I was attempting to say much more eloquently. That's what I was thinking of, that when you leave that retreat in December, you're not just leaving with your renewed spirit and connection to your soul and your intention for 2027. You're accepting and loving of yourself. You also have those tools. The seeds have been planted. You're going to have an awareness around, I feel tired. Where do I feel it? And then having that tool where, you know what, I'm going to do this this evening to give some rest on the emotional side. So it's something that you would take with you. It's going to have a ripple effect in your life.
Yes, definitely.
And in your relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship.
Exactly. I always tell you, yes, the most important relationship you can have with a human being, it's yourself. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I said. You are your own longest lasting friend if you choose to be your own friend, right? So, well, I think this is exciting. As a businesswoman, what is next for you? Like, do you have some goals and dreams, the future expansion, or things that you'd like to incorporate into your business?
Not on the external level, but I am, like I said, working on myself constantly. And this year, I mean, even just every year, but I think the last few years, I have really gone through a lot of shifts, and also just kind of this year, really, I guess, like stepping into this more bolder version of myself. And so I have organized a little bit more online, courses, you can say like workshops, but really as one is for like a supporting for people who after they leave the retreat, sometimes when they go back to their daily life, they need that support to help to, integrate, or just kind of reminder also, right? Because we also forget the good stuff very fast. So a reminder. Right. And also, it can be also, like we said earlier, just for people who can't come to Museflower, or they can't go to a retreat now anywhere for whatever reason, like, any kind of online, resource sessions, coaching, it will be helpful. And so for myself, it's really kind of building that now to help people in a more kind of worldwide way, I guess, like with online offerings as well. Yeah.
I think that's remarkable. And it's going to allow you to have a bigger impact with people that come in person, and even connecting with some people who are unable to.
Yes.
Well, I just think that it's something that it's within all of us, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. I think you and I both in our work, I know we've encountered people who are like, well, that's just not, that's a bunch of nonsense. It's really not. We all have different levels and different skills and different abilities, but we all have that sensitivity and intuitiveness inside of us. And you're helping people to either reconnect or connect for the first time, or discover and enhance all of that while at the same time recuperating and getting in touch with their soul purpose. And I mean SOUL, not SOLE.
Right,
and I just
right.
think that's, I think that's really remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love that you spell out SOUL also instead of
Yeah, that's
SOLE.
right.
Thank you so much. I love that so much.
So Muse Flower, and you have a podcast. One of the things that I find intriguing about your podcast is you do like a different season every year. And so it's something that people can discover, and similar to how people like binge watch Netflix, they can dive into a season and they can go through what you've shared in your podcast. Where is the easiest place for people to find your podcast or to connect with you?
So they can go on to, like I said, Newsflower's website. I also have my own personal website, which is taniaho.me. And so they can go on there and to connect with my, my podcast is also listed there also. So people can connect with me through there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tania, for sharing this with us. And anyone that's interested in going to Thailand and going to the retreat in December, or just booking a time to come to Muse Flower, you don't have to go to the retreat. Right. Yeah. So please do that. And Tania, thank you so much for sharing with us and sharing about your journey and how you're touching people. And please, let's all dig in on the 7 types of rest. I am going to be getting that book and reading that this weekend. So thank you so much, Tania.
Thank you so much for having me also. Thank you.
If you're listening to this episode of The Inner State, I hope that you'll join us for the next one.